Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Wrapping things up on this Monday. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sports Atlanta, at Locked On ATL. Check out all the great shows we got here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Not only is it A to Z, it's Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day Ones with Jarvis Davis and Tanisha Batiste. Don't forget about our Braves postcast with Grant McCauley, Locked On Hawks, Locked On Falcons, everything you need for Atlanta sports right here on the Locked On Sports Network. Speaking of the Atlanta Braves, they lose 2 of 3 from Miami. And it was a, not interesting weekend for the Braves from the standpoint of people are starting to fret about the idea of them losing 2 of 3 to the Miami Marlins because Miami is supposed to be bad and you're not supposed to lose to bad teams. And guys, they have played 17 games. If you want to do some higher math, guess what? That's just a little bit over little more than 10% of the season is gone. You have to learn to chill out. You can't already start losing your mind over being 7-10 at this point in the season. Like, it's just not worth. Oh, they're 5 games behind the Mets. Yeah, guess what? You think the Mets are going to play 700 baseball the entire season? They're 12-5 right now. They will come back. 17 games gone. It's nothing. And people are screaming right now for Ronald Acuna to be called up from AAA and brought back. And a friend of mine who works in Atlanta media posted a poll, do you want Ronald Acuna called up today, now? And 68% of people said yes. And I responded with, if you say yes to this, you're a fool. And the responses on my Twitter account were, and I'll read some of them to you. Here we go. Why? If he's ready, he's ready. Where does he play make a difference? If he can play in AAA, he can play in MLB. I forgot about the rule that makes it impossible to get hurt in the minors. If he's feeling good and wants to come up, do it. These are all the responses that I'm getting. And what people don't understand is, there's a couple of things at play here why they're not rushing him up. Number one, is they want to run his body through every single example of what he's going to experience at the major league level to see how it reacts, right? Before he re-injures it. So what's it like for his body to play a game, get on a plane, land somewhere? Will it swell? Will it hurt? Will it be sore? Not that he's necessarily going to re-injure it. What's it like to play a day game after a night game? How is his body reacting? Not that he's going to re-injure it. But what does his body have to go through to make sure that he's 100% ready? And we all know that game reps are not the same thing as practice reps. And while it's not practice down at AAA, the game reps are different than simulated at-bats, running and shagging fly. It's just a different level of output for the body. So they're testing all of these things to see how he reacts. Furthermore, the last thing they want to do is bring him up to have him re-injure it and then have to put him back on the DL. And lastly, what they don't want to have to do, and everybody's forgetting this, if you bring him up, guess what you have to do to somebody else? Get them off the roster. These guys have X number of options that they can be sent back to the minors, or they have to be released, or whatever it is. And so deciding who that person is going to be and figuring out what that move is and the long-term implications of it aren't something you want to waste on a guy who may get hurt a week later and end up back on the injured list. I mean, that's all of the stuff that goes into this, guys. And the idea that we are worried about 3 or 4 games in April is ludicrous. I know every game counts. I'm not saying it doesn't. And I'm not saying that if they end up winning the division by 1 game, you can go, well, if they had Ronald Acuna back on April 25th, they would have won that game and we would be in first place now. I mean, you can play that ridiculous game if you want. But I could also point to the 5 blown saves that are going to happen throughout the year. I could also point to the error that causes an extra run to score that loses. I mean, there's 162 games in baseball. I could pick out 20 bad ones and go, if this would have happened, they would have won and their record would be different. Happens to every team. So, and that's not the point. And I had another friend in the media say, well, they're not going to win a division at this rate. I'm like, dude, 17 games in. What do you mean they're not going to win a division? Stop. That's ridiculous. That's number one. Number two, they don't have to win the division. All the Braves legitimately have to do is avoid the 1-game wild card playoff. Get in the playoffs. Be a 2 or 3 seed. It's fine. Be one of those seats. Just, Avoid the one-game wild card. I guess you have to win the division to do that. But so what? This team is experienced enough for that. They don't need to win the division. I mean, look what they went through last year to win the whole thing. Come on. They could be the fourth wild card. They could be the one wild card that doesn't have to play in it. They can be a wild card and not play in the wild card game. The last two wild cards play, and the fourth one gets in. So, whatever. I think we're worrying way too much about this and what Ronald Acuna is and where he is and everything else to start making a big deal of this. Guys, they're going to be okay. I'm a little bit worried about Ian Anderson. He kind of sucks right now. I'm a little bit worried about the starting pitching and the consistency of it, but I think that's fair. Believe it or not, I'd like for them to get down into the 5-man rotation and see who's taking the ball every fifth day and work this thing out that way. That's what I'd like to see. To me, that's what I think is the best case scenario for this team, is get these guys into a rhythm. And remember, the weather is starting to turn. Everybody's going to get warmer. Bats are going to start to warm up. Everybody's going to start to play to the back of the baseball card. This team is too good to not play well. If they're struggling by Memorial Day still, then we can have a different conversation. Then we can have a let's get it in gear conversation. Remember, guys, they won the division last year by getting in first place. I think it was August 11th was when they got into first place last year for the first time. Relax. It's a long baseball season. You're going to wear yourself out if you're losing your mind at 7-10 after 17 games. Psst, there's going to be another stretch where they only win 7 out of 17 games throughout the year. There will be another one of those stretches. I can almost guarantee it. Don't be upset about this one. The good teams weather the storm, and they do it well. So, I'm not worried about the Braves. I don't think there's any reason to worry about the Braves at this point in time. I feel comfortable with where the Atlanta Braves are and what they're going to be able to do this year. Let's not rush Acuña back. There's plenty of time. He doesn't have to be up here now to win the MVP. He can still get 150 games in if he comes up on May 6th like they planned for it. So don't sweat it. Too easy. All right, that'll do it for this Monday edition of A to Z. Again, give me a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Thanks for making A to Z your first listen every day. Make your second listen ATL Day Ones with Tanitra Batiste and Jarvis Davis. They speak to the heart of the city of Atlanta, whether it's Hawks, Falcons, Braves, Georgia Bulldogs, two friends just talking about all Atlanta sports. Step into the conversation. ATL Day Ones, part of the Locked On Sports Atlanta Network, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. You guys have a wonderful Monday. Don't take any crap from anybody. See ya.